Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung said that as a plant produces its flowers, so the psyche creates its symbols. And in this video, I'm going to guide you through a step-by-step process that will help you to become more connected with your inner symbols that you might see, for example, in your dreams. And this will help you essentially to feel more connected to your deeper self, and will also allow you to access a deeper source of creativity within you. Jung termed the symbol as an expression of something unknown. And if you were to know what the symbol means, then actually it would be a sign and not a symbol. So the symbol is at the same time carrying a hidden meaning or a mystery which points to some wider unconscious layer within us. But at the same time, Jung said that a symbol is a living fact of life. So they can reveal something to us about the deepest core of ourself. And essentially, a symbol is a carrier of psychic energy, specifically carrying unconscious content into our consciousness. And often, of course, symbolic images come to us through dreams. And the function of dreams is essentially that they are trying to balance our psyche. So in the same way that our body uses the process of homeostasis to regulate things like blood pressure or body temperature, in the same way the psyche is attempting to regulate itself through these symbolic images that we see in our dreams. And of course we can see them if you have an ongoing creative practice. You might be drawing different symbols, or you might be seeing them in your life as kind of like synchronicity. So there are several different ways that symbols can come to us. So to do this process, you can choose a symbol that has been meaningful for you lately. It could be, for example, something that you've seen in your dreams, especially if it's something that has been recurring in your dreams. But if you don't know what symbol to pick, you can use the free guide that I've linked below, which is called How to Uncover Your Inner Symbols. So there is a collage process in that guide which you can use to find the inner symbol living within you at this moment in time. And there's a few benefits of connecting with your inner symbols. First of all, they reveal to us a lot about what's happening in our unconscious, and they help to integrate unconscious content into our consciousness. And one reason you would want to do that is that our unconscious has a huge but invisible effect on us. So just like in our physical life, gravity affects us in a huge way, but it does so invisibly, the unconscious has this kind of a same invisible but big effect on our life. And if we can connect more with the unconscious, we can become more aware of how it affects our life, and then we can better make decisions that are best for us. We can live with more meaning and more depth in our life, and essentially feel more happy, and also be connected and have access to this deeper source of creativity which the unconscious brings to us. And also the symbols can give us access to something transcendent. So Jung said that in exploring the symbol, the mind is finally led towards ideas of a transcendent nature where a reason must capitulate. And this is exactly the healing process of going through the different layers of the symbol, which we're going to do in the process that will follow. So we'll first draw or paint the symbol, and then we'll explore its personal layers, its more collective or biological layer, and then in the end, we'll do this process of amplification, or exploring the more collective layer of the symbol. And this helps us layer by layer go deeper and root ourselves and root our psyche as well to the collective, which also helps us to feel that we are not alone in the pain and the challenges that we might be going through life. Because when we understand especially the collective layer of the symbol, we can see that there's many cultures and many people who have gone through the same exact patterns that we are going through. So we are not alone in our challenges. So let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to paint or draw your symbol. And you might be wondering why we do that and if that's actually necessary. But honestly, when you're drawing or painting the symbol, you are meeting the symbol at its own level. So the symbol is a representation or an expression of your unconscious content. And when we draw or paint, it's a way of accessing that deeper, more unconscious layer of us. And it allows also to connect with the symbol in that sort of an more of an unconscious way. So when you're drawing or painting the symbol, it can already give you a lot of clues as to what your relationship with the symbol is when you look at how you've painted or drawn it. And here I really recommend that you don't look at any images up front. So even if you have no idea what the actual symbol looks like that you've seen, maybe it's like some strange animal that you don't exactly know how to visualize, it's totally okay. The best thing that you can do for yourself and the process is to let go of aesthetics. And that's why journals are so amazing to do this in, because this is just for you to explore yourself. You don't need to impress anyone. So it can be really difficult sometimes to let go of the aesthetics, but I really recommend you that you try and just trust the process, that there is a wisdom within you that has brought up the symbol into maybe your dreams or your art already. So that same wisdom of the unconscious will carry the image forward. So here I'm using gouache paints to draw the symbol of the whale, which I saw in my dream. And I'm painting on this Tomo River paper. It's a Hobonichi journal with gouache paint. So this specific paper, it's very thin, but it's also very durable. So you can use it as a dream journal. You can also use it for painting images. So that's what I personally use. And after this, we're going to be writing about the personal associations that we have to this symbol. So while you're painting or drawing, you can already feel into what your personal relationship is to that symbol. So for example, here I was drawing this whale in a way that it actually looks quite gentle. It doesn't really look scary. It's in this water that's quite colorful. So there isn't really like a sense of danger or overwhelm with the ocean either. So, there you can already kind of see that my relationship to the whale is more of a gentle, wise creature rather than something scary. So it helps you to kind of intuitively connect with your symbol. And if you think about symbols, the way that they work is that they represent something that you can't entirely know rationally. So if you were to able to unpack the symbol completely and unravel its meaning, then it would stop being a symbol. So that's why our unconscious uses symbolic images, because it is trying to give you the most economic way of expressing something in your psyche, in your unconscious at that current moment of your life. So the way you can think about it is that you have this inner dictionary, kind of like an inbuilt symbolic dictionary within you already when you are born. So from that symbolic dictionary, the unconscious picks and chooses the most accurate element to represent a specific thing. So when we're born, this dictionary holds in it already information from the collective unconscious. So that means information about our humanity that's universal to all of us. And then as we grow, this inner dictionary is constantly expanding and collecting into it all these personal meanings through what happens to us, through different experiences, people, places, things. So from those personal experiences, it then adds meaning from our life to the collective meanings. But because this dictionary is mostly encoded in our unconscious, we have to do some work to kind of go back and try to excavate the meanings, to understand the contents of this dictionary and why the unconscious chose that symbols through the many different layers it contains. So many of the elements in our images and dreams are representations that express that through the most efficient way and through the multitude and complexity of these different layers of meanings. So these kinds of representations are essentially what symbols are. So, like I said, the next step is to write about the personal associations that you have to that specific symbol. So these could be, for example, memories, it could be feelings that you have towards it. That's always, the best starting point is to focus on the feeling tone of the symbol, because that allows us to see how the symbol is connected to our individual history. The only thing that's good to remember is that you always, when you're making associations, you return to the original symbol. So you don't try to, for example, if I had the symbol of a whale, I wouldn't go like, okay, I associate oceans with the whale, and then I associate ships with the ocean and captains with ships, but rather I would always go back to the whale. So one way to help you do this is that you can make these circular charts. So you can write the symbol in the middle inside a circle and then kind of do lines from there, just to visualize it better and help you always stay focused on the actual symbol itself. So then we move on to the more collective or cultural level of the symbol. So the way you can do that is to write about how you would describe or define that symbol. And one way that you can think about this is that you can imagine that an alien comes from space and that alien doesn't know anything about even the basic things on Earth. So how then would you describe that symbol to them? For example, if it's like a certain object, then you could describe what that object is used for, or if it's a person, you could describe the role of that person, what they do or what they're like. And if it's an animal, it's especially helpful to write about the biology of that animal. So for example, for my symbol of the whale, I was writing about how it is one of the largest toothed predators. They migrate seasonally, how the females and young males live in groups, but the males are solitary, and how they are one of the deepest diving animals, and how they're one of the loudest animals as well, how they communicate with each other. So already there, when you do these descriptions, you might already find something that really clicks, like, oh, this has something to do with my life currently, and then it will give you information about what that is related to. So personally, I've been working a lot with my voice lately. So for me, what really clicked about this second level was that these are actually one of the loudest animals in the world, even though you can't hear them under the ocean. So they have a kind of a different way of communication or a different language than we do, and they speak on a different frequency. So that was quite interesting. And then after that, we're going to move on to the third level, which is writing about this more collective or archetypal level. And this is a process that Jung termed amplification. So amplification is a method of association that finds similarities in things like mythology, religion, fairy tales, and art. And here the idea is that there is a certain pattern in our collective unconscious that we use similar symbols that appear in several different myths, religions, and cultures, and fairy tales and art that imply similar kind of patterns and ideas and thoughts. So when I was talking about how we're born already with this kind of inbuilt symbolic dictionary, what is contained in that dictionary before we have any kind of personal experiences in our life is this archetypal level. So Jung believed that it is inherent in all of us, this wisdom of the collective, or the wisdom of what he would call the archetypes. And then the symbols are the ways that these archetypes are expressed. So the way that you can do this process of amplification is by looking at, for example, different symbol dictionaries. One that I really recommend is the Book of Symbols. You can also look into the Archive for Research in Archetypal Symbolism and their website, aras.org. So that's a great tool for researching the symbols. So you have to do a little bit of research here. You can also just use Wikipedia, or you can also use AI like ChatGPT you can use to find some background into these symbols. So For example, when I was doing this process, I was specifically looking into the myth of the Night Sea journey, where traditionally this hero is trapped in the belly of a whale and then overcomes death by finding its way out. So the whale travels with the hero inside of it. The hero might light a fire inside of the belly, and he might even cut a piece of the whale's heart out as he kind of cuts its way through the whale until he slips out. So one example of this is the Book of Jonah. So in essence, it's a way of symbolically representing a journey of transformation by confronting some deeper aspect of the psyche, some dark unconscious aspect, and then being transformed through that. So of course, this can be a huge process. You can find a lot of information about your symbol, but you'll find something probably that really clicks for you, that feels right, and then you can go on just focusing on that. Finally, I just wrote some quotes from Herman Melville's Moby Dick, which I really liked. So I wrote, "There is, one knows not what sweet mystery about this sea, where gently awful stirrings seem to speak of some hidden soul beneath." And the other quote was, "It is not down on any map, true places never are."